My name is Tia Thompson. I'm a nurse midwife in Sacramento, California. I'm currently working in the hospital setting, and I'm really, really excited to do this presentation with you all because I feel like it's been a learning journey for me. I mean, I've only been working as a midwife 4.5 years, but I'm learning how important it is. And for many people, it may not be new information, but I think that it's not always put in the forefront in the terms of practicing as a midwife. And so I'm hoping that I will give you some insight, but also just some guidance around how to have a long, positive, healthy midwifery journey, and realizing how important it is to care for ourselves. So burnout is very real in midwifery. I've only been doing it 4.5 years and I'm already feeling burnout. So I know a lot of my colleagues and friends who are practicing also share the same sentiment. And so a lot of us have been having discussions around how to change the narrative of what it means to practice as a midwife. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm hoping that I'll give you some tools that will help you to start to nurture that part of it as well. Okay, so first thing I want to do, I don't know about many of you, I've had already a stressful week. And so I just wanted to take this minute to take a breath. And I can't see all of your faces, but I just want to take a moment of silence just for a few minutes. And I'm actually, while we're doing that, I'm going to light one of my favorite candles. The fragrance is Nag Champa. So I'm doing that to kind of set the intention, set the tone, kind of bring in calm energy and environment for us all. So together we can just take a couple of breaths. And you can exhale however you need to. If it's loud, if it's soft, it doesn't matter. Okay, so as we bring it back here to the presentation, so you have all of these beautiful pictures that I chose intentionally because I wanted to show how multifaceted and how multifaceted midwifery is, but also that it's not monolithic. It doesn't look one way, right? So as midwifery has changed throughout the years, specifically for midwives of color, a lot of us have gone from the home birth setting to birth centers to hospital, and there's a place for all of us in each one of those settings, for everybody. And so, as you can see in these pictures, I think when most people think about midwives, they think about the, catching babies, and which is a very small fraction of what it is that we do. But we have very important roles in families' lives. And so we are educators, we are counselors, we are protectors, we are advocates. And a lot of times we become family, creating relationships and hopefully lifelong relationships with the families that we serve. And as joyful and beautiful as it is to be a midwife, it's also very stressful. It's high intensity. It impacts your life, in your personal life as well. And so I want you to think about the trend that you see in these pictures, right? So in the pictures you see midwives doing for others, supporting folks through grief, joy, loss, pain. That's exactly what midwifery is every day. And so we're exchanging energy on a daily basis with people. And with the exchange of energy, right, we bring that energy into our person, into our homes, and into our spirit. And so it impacts us. And so it's really, really important that we learn how to care and nurture ourselves. So that's the focus of today. So as new generations of midwives, we want to change the practice narrative of midwifery. Just like in birth and labor, we want to do it one step at a time. And it's a learning process for many of us because I think socially, we are not taught, as women especially, to take time for ourselves. It's thought as being selfish or not being strong. And we definitely need to change the narrative of what that is, what that looks like. So let's just quickly look at the definition of self-care. So I love these two definitions because it really talks about taking action. And so for us to nurture ourselves as midwives, we have to create the space. We have to be diligent and intentional about doing that, right? So it's a practice of taking action to preserve and improve one's health. It's also taking an active role in protecting your own well-being, your joy, and particularly during periods of stress, which is what midwifery is, right? It's stress, love, and pain. So that's what we're going to talk about. So the first thing I think is super important is boundaries. I'm learning this every single day in my life as a midwife, is creating boundaries. And boundaries means learning how to say no, being comfortable saying no, um, protecting your time and your space, and your energy and how you spend it with other people. And also creating and choosing healthy client relationships, because as a midwife, it is our job to serve families, but it's also our responsibility to ourselves to make sure that we pick we pick families that we feel most comfortable with and how we can interrelate with each other and be of service to each other. So boundaries are super, super important. So these are just some of my ideas about how to do self-care in our lives as midwives. And this is something that you will individually figure out what works for you, but these are just things that I have either taken from some of my mentors, or that a lot of them practice in my own life, where I'm learning to put them more in the forefront of my life. And creating balance is super important, but it's also difficult to do as a midwife. So as you can see in these pictures, you see people praying, you see people meditating, therapy. Therapy is super important as well, because as we exchange energy with others, we carry that with us. And so you need to have a safe space to be able to reflect and think about and process what it is that you're experiencing too, so that you can pour into others. Okay. And when you're doing these different self-care ideas, I also like to encourage you to think about using the 5 senses. So that's incorporating nature, that's incorporating water, candles, light, touch, sense, smell. All of those things are ways that you can also incorporate self-care into your life. So relaxation is super important as well. Probably many of us do these just on a daily basis. Some of us may not. But for me, I really, really love to journal. And it's something that so I think people think about journaling as like you have to do it every single day. But it's really like doing it in the moment and when it feels most appropriate. So sometimes I go weeks without journaling. Sometimes I do it every day. And journaling can be, and I will share one of my journals that I created when I was in midwifery school when we come back to the Zoom. But really, really important to think about. You can do affirmations. Sometimes I draw pictures. Sometimes it's prayer. Sometimes it is talking about my day, or how difficult something was, or how exciting, a birth was, or how a family touched me or inspired me. Because you should be always learning to be a better midwife. That should always be your process, and learning from everybody that comes in your path. So journaling is super healing. For me, water is therapy. Water and music are like big therapy for me. And that could be the beach, which I love to run my feet through the sand. So again, we have incorporating a touch, sound from the ocean, all the things that we can do to relax. A bath obviously can be helpful. And I like to use candles. I like to use music, herbs, oils, essential oils, different things like that in the tub as well. And I like this picture of the woman napping, because I think naps are extremely important, whether it's 10 minutes, 2 hours, really, really important to listen to your body, to rejuvenate, because we don't get good sleep. That's really the reality of midwives, is that most of us have some form of insomnia or don't sleep very well. And I love this picture because she's sleeping with a book in her chest. And I thought about, being a student midwife and remembering how exhausting that was. So just reminding you to also create those moments too, to nap and just gather some strength, because it's super important. Other things you can do, for me, also dance. So that's the picture in the bottom. I love to do a variety of style of dance, but just move, music, move your body, let it be free and uninhibited. That's another way to bring joy into your spirit, fun, de-stress. Also a good thing as well. So some other things you can think about are like crafting. If you like to crochet, that's using your hands, that's creating a calm environment. Some people make jewelry. What else can we think of? Sewing. So a lot of different ways that you can create relaxation in your life. Okay. So I thought this quote was super super on point for closing out my discussion, which is rest and self-care are so important. When you take time to replenish your spirit, it allows you to serve others from the overflow. Self-care is not selfish. You can't serve from an empty vessel. So I want you to remember that you can't pour from an empty cup, and that we owe it to ourselves to put ourselves first so that we can then care for and pour into all of the beautiful families that we will be blessed to encounter and to come into contact with and to serve. And it's extremely important. I hope that you take this information and apply it in your lives as students, but also into your career as midwives and your soon future, because all of you are midwives, all of you are powerful, and you're already on the journey before you probably knew it. So I'm going to close for the day. That's my discussion.